So most Americans know that slaves are the ones responsible for building the foundations of the country. But with the understanding that while the slaves did the grunt work, it was the white people that came up with the architecture and artistry that the slaves had to execute. Well, I'm here to tell you that a black man made the plans for the building of the first foundations of Washington, D.C. That's right, the nation's capital was designed by a black man. So here's the story. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and them knew a guy named Charles l'Enfant, who was a French guy who fought in the Revolutionary War with the Americans and, slid some colonial DMs here and there for hey, if you need me to design this building, I can do that for you. So he did that for them years before and after they gained independence, and he also sent a letter to George Washington in 1789 basically offering his services for if they want to build a new city for this newly formed nation. And so when the time came for that in 1791, George Washington was like, all right, Charles, he's the man for the job. So he drew up the initial plans for Washington, D.C., and he was on top of the world and he thought he was the man. He basically thought since he had Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, the president at the time, in his ear, couldn't nobody tell him nothing. And he didn't let anybody stand in his way, even if that meant tearing down people's houses that were living in the area. But Charles was getting out of control with his tyrannical rule of sorts, and so reluctantly George Washington had to let him go, and he was mad about that. But there was this black guy named Benjamin Banneker, who was born free and was raised with an education and was obviously very smart. Once Charles l'Enfant left, he took his plans with him, but Benjamin drew up his own designs for Washington, D.C., and it was those plans that were used for the foundation of Washington, D.C. So if you found that story interesting, check out my channel, Hidden History, like and subscribe.